Centered in the historic district of Pine Grove Mills, Pine Grove Hall is a farm-to-table restaurant, speakeasy bar, and live music venue that can only be described as original. And our story begins with Liz Grove and her guy Steve Christensen, who were playing together in a progressive rock and roll band, but really needing a place to play.
We had this band and we were playing kind of off-the-radar songs, and we had this really thin schedule, you know, it was like every fifth Tuesday. And so we had this daydream, like, we'll start our own venue.
So we know nothing about restaurants, nothing, except we know that music doesn't make any money. So Steve and I met in college, actually. We've known each other a long time at Penn State, and we had a band. We played in a band together. I was a classical piano major and played in a rock band at night, and you were an electrical engineer. So it was interesting. We have a music background and a tech background.
After college, the two went their separate ways. Steve to California to work in the tech industry, and Liz to New York City to work in the record business.
I worked for Chrysalis Records and did radio promotion. Sinead O'Connor, Billy Idol, Huey Lewis. It was great. It was a great time to be in New York.
Years later, Liz moved back to help with her parents' business, where she reconnected with Steve, put together another band, and tried to make their dream reality. But to create the winning combination of food and entertainment, they had to find the perfect venue. And they kept coming back to the Old Oak Tavern in neighboring Pine Grove Mills, a historic building with everything they were looking for.
It was a decade of searching.
And every time we were like, oh, if we could just get that Old Oak Tavern, because it has the stage. It has a legitimate stage, you know?
And it's an old building, which we loved, the history.
The building that housed the Old Oak Tavern had been central to the community for more than a century.
This was built in 1901. It was an Oddfellows Hall. And an Oddfellow organization, it's a fellowship organization. In the 20s and 30s, there were vaudeville shows. Every little town had an orchestra, and we've looked up the newspaper clippings, and it says the Baileyville Orchestra is playing at the Oddfellows Hall. And then it was turned into a civic center. I believe they had the police station upstairs, or offices, I think.
There was a lockup upstairs and a shooting range in the basement.
Right. So it really was the center of the town of Pine Grove Mills.
Liz and Steve knew the couple that owned the building and asked them to call if they ever decided to sell. Then, in 2019, it happened.
I mean, my jaw was wow, because to us, this would be the right place. It was close enough to State College. It had just great space, the history. So, yeah, that was just serendipity.
Once the building was signed over, Liz and Steve got to work on their vision for the space.
That's quite the to-do list board.
And we had this sort of Art Deco era speakeasy
1920s
sort of
and 30s
thing in mind, you know?
Oh man, it's beautiful. These are the guys that are doing the work. You're amazing. Wow.
Over the course of a year and a half, through blood, sweat, and a few tears, it all came together. A space that echoed a 1920s and 30s speakeasy vibe.
So the Art Deco and the lighting is all period lighting. It took a long time to find the exact right lights. It's eclectic, though. And people know this place for the bar. It only had one curve at the end, so we had our carpenters add the second curve. It was a plain wood, and we wanted to make it black, so he sanded and sanded.
6 weeks of my life went into that bar. And Liz is like, done yet?
Done yet? But it's beautiful.
The new interior created the desired period atmosphere, but for the music, they wanted state-of-the-art.
So how do we combine high-tech and keep it looking old? That was really important. We have all of our lights on an app. We have 7 cameras in the ceiling for our live stream system. And we are little by little getting the reputation that it's a great place to play because it's a great sound system, it's a great stage, and we have a great audience, that are really here to listen to the music.
Yeah, mama don't allow it, sister don't care, papa don't allow, won't have it.
So we're actually continuing that tradition. It's interesting to think about that, right? See, I didn't know how to run a restaurant, but it turned out that it is just like being in a band. The talent behind the bar, the creativity behind making a cocktail. It's very similar to a musician putting the notes together, putting the instruments together. So it's a very creative process. And the right people came at the right time to assist. They would walk in the door. I don't know how that happens, except to say that maybe it was the right time for this all to happen.
Next came an all-important move, hiring the right chef, and luck smiled on them again.
We went to a July 4th party at Liz's cousin's.
I said, I'm looking for a chef.
And she says, oh, you should talk to my son. His roommate cooks.
My roommate at the time, his mom was doing Liz's hair at a salon.
And then you're like, yeah, everybody's son's roommate cooks, but it turned out to be Tori.
So I sent her a blind email.
I got an email the next day with a resume, and he came in for an interview.
And I met her like 2 days later here before all this was done.
Then we had a tasting where he cooked for us.
And then I cooked her like a prefix dinner at my house.
That way everything kind of was the same size, so it wasn't too funky.
And how he spoke, especially for a young person, I was just,
And it was complete serendipity. And he just turned out to be amazing.
He's amazing.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
She completely just gave me the reins, which was intimidating at first, but ultimately ended up being a great experience.
He's like a musician. I think of him actually as a jazz musician because he has all of these ingredients and he sees what's available that week and he makes up a dish. And I don't know how he does what he does, but he is a real artist.
And when they hired Tori Glossner, they joined the farm-to-table movement, sourcing most of their menu's ingredients directly from local farmers.
I feel like this area has such great agriculture. We have, beef and chicken and pork, and we have tons of vegetables, and there's people doing mushrooms, and there's people raising quail, and there's all these things coming from within about 50 to 60 miles of the restaurant.
One of those farms is Oliver's Path, run by Andrew and Amanda Marshall. This morning, Andrew brings fresh produce directly to the kitchen.
He'll walk up the back steps, he'll show me everything that he picked for me that is for the dinner tonight, so I'll start washing and prepping all that. So it's a lot of back and forth communication between me and him and me and the rest of the farmers around here, letting me know availability and dictate ultimately the menu and what we're going to serve.
To deepen their patrons' connection and understanding of their local growers, Liz and Steve have started a special event every third Wednesday of the month.
And we started doing this monthly special
Supper party.
Right.
Where Liz invites one of the farmers to come in and have a dinner upstairs and talk about their operation because the farmers are kind of the unsung heroes too.
As chance would have it, tonight's supper party will honor Amanda and Andrew of Oliver's Path and will use their produce for the menu.
We're very excited to see how many people show up. I'm being told it's sold out. It's done family style, so it kind of forces you to meet new people, which in turn is creating community. And we as the farmers will be bouncing around from table to table. So we're very excited to see everybody here and all the smiling faces, and I'm sure there'll be quite a few familiar ones.
Pine Grove Hall has proven such a success, they are literally bursting at the seams.
We are expanding next door, yes. Already, after 3.5 years, we're ready to start restaurant number 2. This is our new restaurant. It's going to be called Flour and Stone. It's F-L-O-U-R. Pine Grove Mills had 3 mills. At least one was a flour mill. And so the Flour and Stone is a little bit of a nod to the mills here. And actually, Actually, the house, this section was built in 1850. So it's a very old house. There's a lot of history here. My engineers said that we should tear it down, and that didn't seem right. Can't do that in the middle of the village here. And the concept is pizza, pasta, homemade breads, and also in the front here, we're gonna have a little takeout station for homemade ice cream and for coffee in the morning. And what we're really excited about is a lot of outdoor seating, especially in the summertime, on a beautiful day like this.